right, welcome everybody. It is the first episode of the Positively Awesome Wrestling podcast with Drip King Wrestling. I'm joined by probably one of my best buds on Twitter. It is Tidey Tim, whichever we want to go by. That's him. I dig this man because he is just as positive with wrestling as I am. That's the goal I'm going for here. So for the people who don't really know who Tidey is, let's give them a little glimpse into who you are and what it is about wrestling you enjoy, man.
Oh man, who am I? that's a big one. But about wrestling,
broad question.
Well, I'm older. I'm 42, so I spend a lot of time with my family. Well, they're mostly family friends. My real family's down in San Antonio, Texas. I work for a living, 44 hours a week. I come home, I want to watch wrestling. I refuse to pay for cable, so I watch Raw on Hulu the next day and try to stay off Twitter the best I can, unless I'm watching a recap live because I have time. That and anime, video games. Less on video games lately. There's nothing really to hold my attention like it used to.
Nope.
It's kind of hard.
But Lawnmower Simulator, have you tried that?
Man,
well, man, over at D's Games, man, he got me hooked on it. My girl is so mad at him for it.
Oh man, I've been playing the Tiny Tina game. I was talking to Maddie about that.
Okay.
Try to hook up and play some Tiny Tina. I love loot. Wrestling, anime. I like RuPaul's Drag Race.
Ditto.
All kinds of MasterChef, all kinds of other shows, especially anime. But wrestling's been near and dear to my heart. About 7 years ago, I watched the whole Authority line. It was a little bit before that. Friends like, hey man, just catch up on it. It's all on Hulu. You don't got to pay for cable. Stop complaining. I've been telling you need to watch wrestling. This dude I used to work with, and I was like, all right, fine. I'm gonna check it out. And it started with the Authority storyline. Seth got hurt. Cut to the chase. He was gone. I think it was like maybe 2 weeks after, and I realized I actually missed him.
Yeah.
The way he interacted with Kane and Kane slowly turning on him, like, oh no, we're good, Stephanie. We're not fighting. And he would look at Seth and Seth like, I told you he's tripping. Like when he was gone and I lost that interaction, I realized I loved wrestling. And from there I was beyond hooked. I was just watching I would try to watch 3 episodes a night on Hulu, just catch up I was starting from the past, man. And then when I got caught up, it was like, okay, and I got to wait for Hulu every Tuesday. But yeah, it's been some of the best entertainment I've ever had. Just being able to talk about with my roommate, I got her in on it. So I started going on Twitter because I couldn't get her to watch all the time. And she was the only one I geek out about it. And all my other friends were like, man, you're stupid. That shit's fake. And all this other stuff they would tell me. I was like, you don't get it. The characters, you start rooting for somebody. They have like a little story going with it. They have to perform at like the highest level to make it believable. Yet it does hurt. And the athletics behind it, it's a live action circus, man.
Yeah. Performance art is how I try to explain it to people who are like, you're crazy. I'm like, it's performance art. I'm sure there's plenty of other styles of performance art that people out there enjoy. Wrestling is exactly that, just intertwined with some great storylines. So
yeah, and to sum it up, it was you have to make me care. If you're a wrestler, you have to say or do or be involved in something or stick out or whatever it is. That's why I always like the wrestlers that can do the great promo work, be a believable character, and do some great stuff in the ring. Not to say that I don't like someone that's as good at a promo at times.
Yeah.
Or someone that can just wrestle, but Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn,
you connecting with them a lot better.
Connecting immediately. I'm like, I love this person. So yeah, that's kind of my wrestling passion, how it started.
All right, so about 7 years ago, during the Authority storylines, when you started watching, so there was no prior wrestling experience before that. That was like your introduction to wrestling.
No, there was. My friend, his dad would watch WCW back then. I saw Ron.
Good man.
Jake the Snake. Later on, I saw Jake the Snake. I was watching a little bit of WWE at a friend's house, SummerSlam, trampolines. Little kids got hurt.
Yeah.
We were doing stupid stuff in the backyard, pile drivers on the real grass. That was a basic introduction. I remember Doink the Clown. I saw Lex Luthor, but I never really kept up with it unless I went to my friend Paul's house because I wasn't keeping up. And it was Kurt Angle. I started back in SmackDown back then in Kurt Angle a couple years ago, maybe 13 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I watched that for probably like 3 months straight. We moved. We didn't get cable really. And then that's when people started hitting me up. Like, man, you got to watch wrestling. I was like, I don't know, man. I got all this stuff. So I had some of that. And then just, getting into 7 years ago, I geeked out, started looking up every documentary I could on Peacock or WWE Network back then.
Yeah, documentaries are where it's at. It's funny you talk about you got on Twitter so you could talk wrestling with people.
Yeah.
Like, for a class I had in college, I had to create a Twitter. And I was like, man, I don't want to be on this thing. I don't like social media at all. I hate social media. And I had to get on Twitter for this thing for networking purposes. And then I found wrestling on there. I was like, wait a second, I can talk with wrestling? I can talk wrestling with other fans? Oh, thank you very much. Little did I know what I was getting myself into with the toxicity. Yeah. And I've left a few times because it gets too much. But I'm back on Twitter. I'm in a good place. And I'm out to spread the positivity. And that's, like I said, that's why I enjoy you so much, the interactions with you. You're positive. I don't have to worry about, oh, man, what's this guy going to bitch about today? What's he going to shit on with this? You look at the good stuff, and that's exactly what I like about you. So I appreciate your outlook on wrestling. It's very much appreciated, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate yours. I've noticed that about you. So I was like, oh, cool. No heat, no drama. I like this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give a glimpse into what this show is going to be for the people watching, obviously for the first time, because it's the first episode, we're just going to talk about our favorite stuff from the week. Sometimes it's going to be the same things because we share a lot of the same favorites. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, to be exact. I'm sure there's more. We're just going to run over the best stuff we liked, maybe kind of break some things down. If he's got questions about things, I seem to have kind of a good mind for how the things operate, where they're heading. I can predict a lot of things. So we're going to touch on some of that. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to take something from the world of wrestling that he's not familiar with. And we're going to break that down to see what's, I won't say a casual fan's experience, but his WWE is pretty much what you watch. Yeah. So anything outside WWE is kind of like, what's this? So I'm going to touch on some of that stuff with him. And obviously some of my favorite stuff is going to be AEW, so he'll get to learn a little bit there as well. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. The first thing this week, we shared this one, so I'm just going to pop it up. We're going to talk about the Kevin Owens versus Drew McIntyre match, because if you watch the recaps, you know what this is about. It was beautiful. What say you about this match? What was it about this match that was like, you got me. You sucked me in, man.
Well, it's a long time coming, one. People talk about handcuffs and what coulda, woulda, shoulda, and he's good at a mid card because it's Kevin Owens. He doesn't need a title to be Kevin Owens. I mean, like, part of me, I want more. I know what he's capable of. Like, man, put him in a main event scenario. Wow. I know he had his first title run, and even in his documentaries or his interviews, it's like he didn't get to enjoy it as much.
No,
because he wasn't able to take it in. It was constantly busy, blah blah blah.
And he was robbed of it. It ended way too short.
So as a fan of him as a person, I want him to experience it at the level that I know he's like one of the best.
Yeah.
If not, he's always going to be in my top 3 forever. So I want to see him get a chance at it. But I, just like many other wrestlers, I noticed that he's pushed so back out of the scene. I don't see him even in a main event scenario, or he's just going to lose, that I kind of lost heart.
Yeah.
So to see him come out and start with the promo of, I'm back. I started thinking about, who I am, and what was the word he used? Prize fighter.
Prize. Okay. So you came into Authority, so you didn't know anything about Kevin Owens' debut.
Oh, I do.
You went back and watched it.
Oh, my friends got me on NXT too, man. Like, gotta go back and watch that too. So
okay.
I know enough about Kevin Owens, him turning on Sammy, him beating up John Cena.
First match, it was beautiful, man. It was so beautiful.
Saw his documentary. I looked up all his stuff that I seen anything on the network. That's my phone making sounds. Ignore that.
You good?
But as soon as he started saying prize fighter, and with all the changes that are going on now, I was like, wait, is he addressing? And then he starts telling Drew some stuff. I don't know word for word. Like, wait, you carry this company on your back. And he's kind of calling out Drew. And he's saying, you're a prize. I'm coming for you. But his whole promo was just so damn good. It reminded me of earlier Kevin. And you can see the passion. I forgot what he said, but as soon as he said one sentence, I knew the boy was back.
Yeah.
And he was dead serious. And I was like, oh, he's serious.
Every word he spoke in that promo was like, okay.
real, sincere, like he meant this crap, right?
He
And
brought the best out of Drew too, because I haven't seen a promo from Drew like that. I don't think since he's been in NXT. Probably it was so good what he was doing. I like that he brought the best out of Drew because it's been a long time since we've seen it.
Well, I'll give Drew the Randy Orton when he was talking mess to Randy Orton. It's like, you could have came and reached out to me kind of thing.
Yeah.
When Drew did that, and I think he did some good stuff with Dolph. And after that, he had the sales on. He wasn't rowing the boat as much.
Then he got that kilt and he got that sword, and it was that like, sword. Yo, what you doing, Drew? Come on, man.
I loved him as a heel, so I was gonna accept him as a good guy because I don't feel like there is any good guys, or great good guys lately. And then he gets in there, and Drew starts. Drew fires back. It was Drew firing back, and then you feel the passion. Drew's meaning what he's saying now.
Yep.
And this is a big dude in Kevin Owens' face. And I'm looking at Kevin Owens. I'm like, do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens don't give a crap. Kevin Owens ready. I wish I would have wrote the perfect words down, but man, that was fire.
It's better off the cuff. It's always going to be better off the cuff. Because then we got scripted promos just like they used to have, and it doesn't come off as natural and authentic. So,
that was good. And the match, of course.
I can't say this with confidence, but I don't think I've ever seen a Kevin Owens versus Drew McIntyre one-on-one match. And if I have, it definitely didn't stand out. It's kind of weird. I feel like they would have mentioned it if it hadn't happened before, and this was the first. So I can't say, like I said, without a shadow of a doubt, it hasn't happened. But again, I can't remember it happening. I'm sure they've done tag teams against each other, or maybe a Survivor Series team against each other. But even if it wasn't the first time, what I saw from this match made me want it so much more. And if Drew is going to end up walking out of Clash of the Castle with a title, I want Kevin Owens. What's that?
Yep. Prize fighters coming.
Yeah, I want a Kevin Owens Drew McIntyre program, because what they gave us in one segment and one match was better than a lot of stuff I've seen this year. And just to touch on Kevin Owens' importance in the main event, we can look back at all of Roman Reigns' feuds during his run as the tribal chief. Yeah. The only one that even matches it, the one he had with Kevin Owens, was with the Uso. And that's because of the family ties into it. But outside of that, nobody touched Kevin Owens. It was a beautiful feud. And he's back at the top where he belongs, 100%. That whole segment and match, again, has me so excited for Kevin Owens moving forward. I'm geeked out for it because I love the man. He's awesome at everything he does. And yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm pumped 100%. Anything else you want to add to the Kevin Owens Drew McIntyre stuff, other than the match was just phenomenal?
Well, it's just a hint that I feel like, he can really be his own kind of character now, is what I'm feeling. I'm sensing that all about WWE. I feel like people are being a little more authentic when they're talking. So
yeah.
And knowing Kevin Owens, I just, my confidence just went through the roof that I'm going to see the KO show, because I'm here for the KO show. And it's just a long time coming. I've been waiting. So now that it's hitting the crescendo's that big, he's talking mess to a main eventing Drew McIntyre,
to the number 2 guy in the company.
Yeah. And he's warning everybody, prize fight is coming.
He got to stand tall and walk away unharmed from the number 2 guy in the company. I think that speaks volumes to how Triple H views him and how it's going to go forward.
Awesome.
But we're going to move on from one awesome Canadian to the other awesome Canadian and go right into Sami Zayn. This is one of my touching points this week, because anybody who pays attention to anything I've got to say on Twitter, I love this man. I praise this man on a weekly basis, and I've been doing so for I don't even know how long. Probably since I've been back on Twitter. He's just that damn good at what he's doing. Have you watched SmackDown yet? Have you got a chance to watch it? Okay, so did you get it's Hulu, so I don't know everything you got to see.
No. Hulu only cuts like one little short
promo. Okay. Good deal then.
2-hour show. So
good deal. If they're cutting any Sami Zayn out, I'm writing a letter to the editor right now at Hulu, because that shit doesn't need to happen. The man is gold. As gold as the crown and the chain I'll be wearing right now, because, again, I don't even say this. I'm not saying this lightly. I do love this man for what he does. I don't think anybody entertains me in wrestling as much as Sami Zayn does now.
No.
What I like the most is how he starts the show and he's doing the sniveling, like he's begging to be Roman's little lackey. He goes in And then he ends up getting Roman's approval, and you just see the excitement on his face. Instead of being unsure and not wanting to tread water, he's like, oh, okay. Roman likes me. Roman wants me to be here. He's taking my side over the Usos. Changes like that. And then he comes out for his match, and it's in Montreal. So the pop that he gets, mega pop. I dare anybody to try and match that pop. I don't care if it's his hometown. That was an insane pop that man got, and it's not matched by many. So he comes out and he immediately goes from the sniveling guy to the looking up to Roman heel to babyface immediately, and it's so he does it so effortlessly. And then he wrestles the match, and he's wrestling like a babyface. He's giving me this hope that I'm going to see Sammy go babyface because he's one of the best. He could do it better than pretty much anybody in WWE because there's no real babyface right now other than Bianca Belair.
Yep.
And then after the match happens, he goes right back into being Roman Reigns' lackey. And again, it doesn't even feel forced. It doesn't feel like it's out of place or anything. It's just so great how he does it. I could go on and on and on and on about praising Sami Zayn. The performance he gave, though, on this show, if you don't know about Sami Zayn or if you've been hesitant about Sami Zayn, this show better have changed your mind on it. I'm going to let you take the reins and touch on anything that I may have missed because I'm just uber excited to talk about Sami. I love him to death. He's the man. I want to see more Sami Zayn.
Yeah, the Ole chants, like Ole, Ole. That was going on. It was I'm trying to remember. Someone was in the back, and then you were still hearing Sami.
Yep.
And I was like, dear God, man, Sami is. They love him. But it's everything that I wanted to build to because like I know there's people that like to look up stuff online of like where angles may be going. Besides y'all's, recaps and prediction shows, I love that stuff. But I purposely don't. I want to
dirt sheets. Stay away from them. Yeah.
I watch the product, what they give me. I make my own conclusions. It's really fun that way. It's like I don't watch trailers for movies for a reason. But as I was seeing him from back then, I'm like, oh no, they're giving him a sympathy angle.
Yeah.
Sympathies are for faces. Oh, the Usos are kind of doing them wrong. But can Sami do that? And he had his interview with Stone Cold, and he talked about his being unsure at times. But he's trying to stay humble, not trying to get a big head. And he's like, well, did you ever think about being a face kind of thing?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, with opportunity present itself, but, going for a title and all that stuff. And it's just enough hints of how I already seen the sympathy card being slowly built and that, they'll give him an inch, but they're going to take 2 inches back every time. And how is he still here? He wants his respect back.
Yeah.
So that was to seeing Roman saying, yeah, good luck, and I'm gonna take your side kind of thing. But then Roman kind of gives this weird little look, like afterwards, he starts grabbing the phone or whatever. I'm like, Roman ain't fully behind him. Something else is up. But then when he takes that kick at the end for Roman looks down at him and is like,
oh, this man's about it.
He was actually here for me tonight. Usos aren't here. They're at the border getting caught up.
Usos and I was never took a hit from me like that.
Like anything good going his way is how I'm excited about it. Because I should be upset as a Sami fan that he's being used most likely, and it isn't going to turn out for his good, as he's building it so well. But the fact that Roman looked down to him, gave him the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Even that little bit meant a lot to me because it's giving Sami the character, what Sami wants. That's how involved I am.
Yeah.
Hearing the Sami chants, all that stuff. I wanted him to win and go to Cardiff, of course, but my man Sheamus is there. And he won.
Yeah, you ain't too mad about it.
I want Sheamus to go. Because I already know they're going to build something with what this storyline is going, and it's so much sympathy towards Sami. And what better way for the SmackDown 1200th episode to build what I wanted, and you hear the Sami chants.
Yeah.
Everything came into line. I'm happy.
I want to touch on one thing about Sami that I think people. It's not something I don't think they think about, and you say you stay away from the dirt sheets, and I applaud you for it. I praise you for it. It's awesome. It's the way to watch wrestling. It's what made me stop watching wrestling back in the day, on top of a few other things. But getting spoiled with dirt sheets back in the day really used to just piss me off, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. But when Adam Cole was getting called up to the main roster, the whole joke was they were going to make him a manager. And everyone's like, why would you make Adam Cole a manager? And they're like, they're just going to ruin him. They're going to do this, that. And as an Adam Cole fan as well, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's the best way you want to utilize him. But then I look at Sami Zayn. He comes back from an injury. They make him a manager. And I touch this on my Wrestle Buddy weekly takeaways, but I'm going to touch on it here as well. Maybe people don't read. That's fine. Sami Zayn comes back as a manager, and instead of letting it tear him down and make him think like, oh, they have nothing for me, he made the best of it. And then he came out of that trio of Shinsuke and Cesaro to end up becoming an Intercontinental Champion. Big deal. People say it's not. It was a big deal because you're in there with Cesaro, who is widely loved by the internet fans, Shinsuke, who is widely loved by the internet fans.
Yeah.
Cesaro's no longer there. Shinsuke is kind of like in limbo, and now Sami Zayn is in the biggest storyline in WWE. And you could say in all of wrestling, because WWE is the top of the food chain, and this is the top storyline at the top of the food chain. So for him to rise like the phoenix from the ashes and be where he's at now is a testament to how good he is. And I'm starting to see him get the flowers he deserves, and I love it because he deserves it so much. And with Triple H at the helm, I'm a lot more positive, looking forward to a chance that Sami might get a world championship run. And if Sami gets a world championship run, that means we're going to get a Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn feud for that world title. And anybody that pays, I wrote an article about this. It needs to happen. It would be one of the greatest things that WWE does in the next 20 years. That's how confident I am about it. They have the history to tell a great story. They have the ability to put on a show, make it happen, and that's that. I know we just spent a lot of time praising Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but you're gonna have to deal with it. If you don't like either one of them, go. I don't have time for you because they're fantastic.
I got more. I can talk more about it. So I mean,
I'm sure we'll talk about Sami Zayn quite a bit on future episodes because, again, every single week I'm just thoroughly entertained. Like, he is my number one guy right now. I there's nobody that is more entertaining. So another nice segue because he wanted Sami to win, but he ain't mad because Sheamus won his other guy, and that would be his number 2 topic this week. Sheamus versus Gunther at Clash at the Castle. As we saw, Sheamus won the 5-way to establish himself as the number 1 contender. It's a match everybody kind of knew was going to happen. They're happy it's happening. As a Sheamus fan, I'm going to let you take it away from here. I'm excited about it. I wanted Sami to win. I'm not going to lie. But I'm not mad at Sheamus. I do like Sheamus, and I think the match is going to be – it's going to slap, like literally slap.
Oh, it's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
It's going to make all their matches look bad just for the fact that there's one man in it. Well, I'm not going to say take away from the Walter/Gunther matches in the past because those – I mean, you need to go to the hospital just watching that stuff. So I'm like, I don't feel good. But Sheamus is the one guy that I feel like since he came back to SmackDown, even with the bar back then, he had to prove himself in front of not Mankind, Foley. He had to pull himself in front of Foley. Him and Cesaro had to prove something. They made him a team. And since then, he came back to SmackDown. He was gone for a while. Had the fight with Big E, crushed him on the car. Literally dropped him on the windshield. It's been no holds barred Sheamus, and then you got the Drew matches, etc.
The stuff with Jeff Hardy was good too. The bar fight, very brutal, very brutal.
I felt like there hasn't been, before all this talk of people understanding who Gunther was, like I feel like in all his interviews, he brings it up like I put all my energy out there and blah blah blah, and he's dead serious about it. Like I'm gonna put on a barn burner match for the fans that they came to see, and he's putting his body on the line there, and he's doing it out of the love for wrestling and knowing he needs to put on a good show. But he also kind of hints at like kind of a title run at the same time, almost in the sense of like I wish they would see what I'm putting out and reward me for it because I'm that good.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna keep proving it and breaking my body out there. And I don't know anybody that's been rougher and tougher in a match that was scrap it down than Sheamus since then, and he's fighting Gunther. So that alone sells itself.
Who is a guy that you could literally claim is the same style of wrestling as Sheamus? The physicality, the brutality of it, the real like stiffness to it all. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why everyone's excited about this match. Is because it's like it's not just one person that's going to be getting their ass whooped here. Both men are going to be feeling it after this match.
Sheamus is not going to let him get like 3 smacks in and he doesn't kick his head off. Sheamus is going for blood to prove that everything that I believe that I've seen from him that kind of acknowledge me as someone who is worthy of a main event. Look at what I put in as the work. He's not going to let Gunther step on him.
No, not at all.
Not a chance, and not in the UK. Not with his family across the pond. Said I can throw a rock, and I'll, that's my hometown.
I think an interesting thing about this match is Sheamus. He's one title short of the Grand Slam champion, and it's the Intercontinental title. He is a Triple H guy. Triple H and him used to work out together. They have a very close relationship. I don't see Gunther losing. No. But there's something in the back of my head that says, man, if he's going to lose,
Sheamus.
I can see Sheamus being the guy, because at any point you could just insert Sheamus into a spot and he's going to kill it.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he beat Riddle last year for the United States title. I believe it was at WrestleMania. I think that's what happened. He beat Riddle for the United States championship. I was surprised. I was shocked. Not this past year, but last year's. I was just surprised. But then I was like, I'm not mad at Sheamus, though, because he's going to do what he does, and he's always going to step in, and he's going to fill the role perfectly. When they did what was that stable they had? I can't even remember. The Nation stable he had with Rusev and Alberto and all that. Made him world champion. It's like, why? It's Sheamus. I can understand it. And right back in the same situation, Gunther's a guy you want to push to the moon. You want to build him up as a next like big credible threat. And he's been beating up on people. Can he beat up on Sheamus the way he beats up on them? Probably, but
not to the same degree. Not
to the same degree. And Sheamus is going to fight back. And it's like, I can see Gunther losing here. If he's going to lose to somebody, I don't think Sheamus is one that kills his credibility at all. They can have a 20-minute match where they just beat the holy piss out of each other, which is more than likely what's going to happen.
Bush can interfere for all I care. I don't know. We all know Gunther's unbeatable, and he's the man of the hour. But he's his best opponent.
And I want this match to open the show because it's going to set a tone.
Ooh.
It's going to be hard to follow it, but that's usually with the second match. It's usually your worst match of the card because you have a barn burner for the first one, let the fans calm down the second one. And I think that's how you want to start the show off. And, man, maybe you give the crowd something to really go crazy about and give the title to Sheamus because they're going to pop for this man.
Oh yes.
And the UK crowds are already insane. So you give them something like that to pop with on top of their insane level of excitement. You're going to get one of those Sami Zayn type pops. Yes, I just inserted Sami Zayn into this conversation as well. I could do it all day. But yes, I'm excited about this match. Again, I wish it was Sami, but that's just me personally. I'm not mad at Sheamus. So if I'm like, you have to pick a winner right now. Who do you think is walking out of Clash of Castle?
Oh, I'm going with my heart, not my brain on this one.
That's good. No, I like it.
I have to go with Sheamus because if he wins and I'm going for him at the same time, it makes it so much better. To betray my heart, I'm a Sheamus guy. I had to put him on the back burner because just like the Kevin Owens story, I just didn't see them maneuvering an angle for him. So a part of me, it just subconsciously goes down a bit, and I see who they're pushing or what they're doing, or if I have another favorite that's shining and I want them to win. But as soon as you start putting him in a 5-way match, like what he's in the 5-way match, and then my heart races and I remember everything. And now I got life in me again.
And going with your heart, people will criticize me for it all the time, but I don't care because if I go with my heart and I'm rooting for the babyface, if he wins, I'm that much more excited because I was right and my guy won. If I'm wrong, I hate the heel even more, which is what I'm supposed to do. Yep. And I'm heartbroken because my guy didn't win. So I hate the guy even more than I hated him prior to being heartbroken. So it's people that say you take wrestling too seriously. I don't think I take it seriously. I just really get invested into it because I really enjoy it. And the fact that I put myself out there like that, and like you're saying, you put yourself out there like that, you're going with your heart.
Yep.
That's probably why we enjoy it a little bit more, and we're not bitching and moaning and complaining all the time. No. Just to put that out there for anybody that's watching and you're one of those people. Change it up a little bit. You might enjoy yourself. So we're gonna. It's the first non-transition that works. It's because it's just a whole nother company. This is my number 3. It was Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and now we're going over to AEW. We had a CM Punk and John Moxley promo battle. Since you came into the Authority angle, you didn't really get to see anything CM Punk when you turned it in, did you?
Nope, just documentaries.
Okay, so did you see him at all, or was it like after?
I just saw portions of his documentary, kind of, and then I seen him talking mess with Triple H, and it got kind of heated. There was a pipe bomb thing. And I was like, yeah, this guy's fire. Then I saw the Clean Edge or whatever it was.
The Straight Edge Society.
That is such a great angle, and he's doing such a good job.
Thank you.
So I know who he was, because then I was like, oh, I'm gonna look up his stuff, and so I know enough of him. But did I sit there and watch week to week? No.
Yeah.
Well, I know he was a badass.
He was involved with the Authority angle, but that was like the last thing he did, and that was at the Royal Rumble, because he was going into a feud with Kane. Kane eliminated him from the Rumble after Kane was already gone. Then he choke slammed him, and then he quit the next night. So I wasn't sure where in that storyline you tuned in and what you might have saw with him, but so you've gone back. You know his promo ability. That's what really the core of CM Punk is his promos.
Mm-hmm.
If he's got fire to him, they're gonna be every time. People hate on him, whatever. I don't care. I tune that shit out. It's hard sometimes. I tune it out though, because at the end of the day, I don't know for a fact what's happening behind the scenes, what's causing this, what's causing that. I will say, anybody who was a fan of wrestling that watched the promo between him and John Moxley, and if you haven't, I really suggest you do it. He was dropping bombs on John Moxley to the point where I've had people, a friend of mine who was a John Moxley fan, he said, why did John Moxley even bother coming out? Because he looked like a fool when he got in that ring with CM Punk. And what's crazy is it wasn't even like top form Punk.
Oh.
I can't stress enough to go watch the segment. Everything else on AEW, you don't follow it, so I won't push it too much.
I'll look it up.
The promo battle itself was great because CM Punk was referencing WWE superstars. The whole thing with CM Punk back in the day with John Cena was the machine, and CM Punk was raging against it. He's like, I'm down with the machine. I should be getting this moment. People like me should be getting the spotlight. Not people like you, John, who kiss the ass and you're the company, corporate, whatever. So now, if you look at if we're looking at the whole situation now with CM Punk, he is now seemingly taking the role of John Cena here. So the roles are reversed here, and that's what I'm so interested on this with. Not just because of CM Punk, but I like that now he is the top guy in AEW. He is the guy that's making the money. He's on the front of the billboards and all that stuff like John Cena was. The thing that made him mad before, now he's that guy. And the stuff with Hangman Page before he won it, Hangman Page is like, I'm here to save AEW from you. So they planted the seed there, and now he's that. And if there's one thing that's going to piss off AEW fans, it's hard to be a heel in AEW because they cheer and they love everything. Do what you do. I don't care. It's hard to really get behind them on that, but I need a heel. But the one thing you can do to piss off AEW fans and become a heel is go pro WWE. So he's sitting there talking about Eddie Kingston. You're the third best Eddie I've ever wrestled. You're the second best Kingston. So he's referencing Eddie Guerrero and Kofi there. You're the second best John. You're the second John I'm going to beat for a world title. Obviously, he's referencing John Cena. He dropped the dollars and cents stuff. He called out Hangman, which that's for a whole other nonsensical story there. Won't get into that one. But Moxley came in. He tried his best. I won't say he fell flat on his face, but it was great promo stuff. Great. And then it just ended up with them just swinging on each other and going to a brawl. Beautiful. And then later in the show, Moxley attacked someone else, got back in the ring, said, I'm not done. Get back out here. And they brawled again. So there's hatred there, and it wasn't like manufactured. It seemed like it was a real hatred. And that's just because of the promo work. And I can't stress enough how great it was. You said you watched the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
That's CM Punk's bread and butter right there. The Straight Edge Society stuff. I'm glad you've seen it because that's what brought me back to wrestling. I tuned in and saw that, and I was like, this is amazing. this is crazy stuff. I never would have imagined seeing stuff like this on WWE programming. Yeah, I can't stress enough. See the CM Punk Moxley promo. I know there's people out there. CM Punk, they can shut up. put bias aside and just and appreciate it, because it is that good. I'd ask you for opinion. You haven't seen it though, so I'm just check it out.
I'm going to. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And again, it's Jon Moxley. You know Jon Moxley. You have a little bit of Jon Moxley history. So, and now for that, I'm going into the unknown for this next topic, because it is your number 3 topic, NXT 2.0.
All right.
I actually did tune in this week and catch the last hour, I think. I wasn't mad. I actually did like a few of it. And I did tune in because of something you said at the captain's table. You said segments were getting shorter and they were getting more authentic, much like the black and gold. I was like, you know what? If there's 2 eras in wrestling that I just 100% love with every bit of my body. I love it. And it's WCW and the black and gold era. So I was like, I'm going to watch what I can. I wasn't mad at what I saw. So I appreciate you putting that out there, because I did see some good stuff. But I'm going to let you take the reins here and go off on some 2.0.
Well, that's the guy, man. The guy you like a lot. Grayson Waller announces a show. He got his own show, and he kind of trolls the interviewee a bit about that. And he does such a good job of just messing with her. And then he drops the name of his show. And I've been, you like him. I like him.
I love him.
I didn't like him at first. He was doing such a good job. Like, man, I hate this dude. And then, then I realized this is why I like him. The dude can talk on that mic, and in the ring, he's no joke.
Okay. I'm going to cut you off real quick there, just to touch on Grayson real quick. The night he turned heel was a night I was actually at the show. He opened up that show, but prior to them hitting the record and going live, he was out there for about 10 minutes, just ripping the fans apart, ripping people apart. And I was like, yo, I like this version of it.
I didn't know that.
No, yeah, people didn't see it, but it was for like 10 minutes on that microphone. He was just going off, talking about, I should be doing this. I'm this level, this, that, destroying people. I was like, I like this guy. Then they went live. I was like, I thought it was maybe just to get the crowd hype. They were going to start with a heel, and they did, because then he just continued to run people down. And from that moment, I was like, this guy, they need to strap the rocket to. The wrestling will come, but the character work and the promo work is already there. I'll send it back to you. I had to add that in there real quick, because it was like a 15-minute promo, and it was like, how?
I had no idea he did that. I mean, that would be something you hope somebody was recording in the crowd and put that on Twitter, and didn't get it taken down or whatever. But that's some stuff fans need to know, because I clearly can see the guy's got all of the right caliber to be somebody of the main player should be called up. But the point what I was saying was segments were getting shorter. This is going to kind of refer back to almost last week, because I wanted to talk about it last week. Was Roderick Strong, the slow turning of Diamond Mine. Yeah. And Roderick being the leader, and they keep referring to he's respected because he's, an ex-champion, this and that. It kind of reminds you he's with the tag team, and that he did it with the Bebe back in the day. And Roderick was never a joke. And they're like, oh, his gas engine can go for miles and this and that. So they're showing, of course, mad respect to Roderick, but Roderick's been slowly doing shady things to them. Saying I'm going to come out to the match, and he doesn't show up for backup.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no, that's just a test. That's the test, guys. It's like, no, you lied, Roddy. I'm like, come on, man. He just said it was a test. But they're not hearing that. They're upset. That's a lie. And Apollo's sitting there watching film. He's like, what is he doing here? It was very simple. And he basically calls him out to the ring very quickly. But each week you've been kind of building this thing of knowing the falling apart's going to happen. But then one week they're kind of working together again. Yeah. Next week, oh, you didn't show up. And then they start calling each other out on it. It gets straight to the match. Apollo wins. Great match, of course. But then as he's leaving, he screams, where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they? Because he was expecting Diamond Mine to back him up. Yeah. So he goes back there and complains to them real quick. And then, of course, they fire back. Well, how's it feel, Roddy? Whatever. And he's like,
they told him, they said that was a test.
Yeah, you bet. Grabs the laptop, breaks it. That's it. It's simply getting to the point of, them breaking up. But the promos were short, sweet, good character, everything. It just reminded me of Black and Gold. I don't say 2.0 is there yet, but they're doing more of that, and it's starting to feel like Black and Gold. But my big thing was Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark fought this week, and I've been watching Zoe Stark since back in the day, before she got injured. And I was telling my roommate, look, dude, she's so strong. She did a thing where I think it was Raquel and Dakota, but she did like a pop out of a pin cover, basically threw her up to the second buckle.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, she's ridiculously strong.
She's a freak of nature. She's awesome.
She's so cool. And she's been getting airtime every single week. Like, yes, they're picking her. Every week she has airtime. And then the thing with EO, and then she's injured. She comes back. She's getting more airtime again. And, and now she's fighting Mandy. What I liked about it so much, and you guys call it selling, you can, correct me on that. But as soon as the match starts, basically she gets dropped on the table and like hurts her knee.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, not the injured knee. Gets back in. Mandy goes for a killer sweep at her leg, but she doesn't just lift her leg. She uses her left arm to lift her left leg because she's that injured. And her facial expressions, I'm thinking this is a real injury.
Yeah. She sold it. Wonderful.
She lifted up her leg to get her leg out of the way of the sweep. And then even right before that, when she throws Mandy outside, she has this intensity and adrenaline in her eyes, and she like screams. And I'm like, that's why I love Zoe Stark. Yeah. She's pure adrenaline. She is a machine. She is literally an energy drink. But a contained energy drink, and she uses her spurts of energy when needed, so it's not too much. Anyways, the match goes on. She clearly looks hurt throughout the whole match. Mandy, every time that it was opportune when Mandy needed to land a blow that made it look convincing, Mandy did, and the blow looked flush. And Zoe was taken like a champ. She even did a new move where I thought she was doing Zoe's move and was going to flip her up, and it looks like Zoe lands on her head as she does like the flip. And I'm like, oh crap, she's injured. Then I see her eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
Got that weird look, and the ref's talking to her, and the ref says something to Mandy, and I'm like, oh crap, maybe she's really injured. Even if she was or wasn't, doesn't matter. Like her selling is so good that I was convinced she was hurt. So every time when it came for the blow, and then at the end grabs the knee brace, and there's a part where she flew on the rope. Mandy got her leg twisted up in there.
It was caught up on the rope and
been punching her knee. But the way that went down and how quickly it did, it looked like it hurt. So anyways,
it looked like it wasn't supposed to happen the way her leg was caught up. I was like, whoa, that doesn't look legit. But then she started attacking. I was like, you know what? That was done really, really damn good because they sold it on me.
If that was a setup, it was quickly thrown up in there. And by the end of it, and the Mandy landing her hits the way she needed to, and then taking the knee brace and hitting her hard with that at the end.
Yeah,
I was like, man, that made Mandy look great.
It made her look ruthless. It was a great finish.
And I was like, that for me, and the reason why I like that, going with the heart again, not about all the technical everything, it was just that I've been following Zoe and wanting greater for her, and she just now shows that she can hang, she can sell, and if that's called selling, of like taking the bumps or hits.
She's making it seem like she's hurt. She's making Mandy look good with her selling. That's what it's all about. And she did do a fantastic job. I want her to work on her character work because again, when I first saw Zoe, I was like, yo, she's a future champion right there. She's got to get some personality to go with all the other tools she has. I'm hoping the best for her. I'm hoping the best for her because of how good she is. But the selling like that. It's very clear she's been working with Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, because he's one of the best sellers of all time. And she wasn't selling like that before when she was with EO and all that. So what she was doing tonight that night was fantastic. I really appreciated it. Also about Zoe, when I was at WrestleMania during the weekend, I was literally looking for wrestlers everywhere out in public. I was like, I got to find one. My friend was showing me his buddy who was running into literally everyone. And I'm like, I can't find nobody in this damn town. I did see Zoe Stark. She was walking around with her family. And I was like, I can't even say hey to her because she was walking with her family. And I'm not that person. I'm not going to interfere with all that. She kept looking back at me because she like knew that I recognized her. And it looked like she was like, you can come say
hi.
I can't do it. So I was just like, you're awesome. And then that was it for Zoe. That's my Zoe Stark story. But yeah. I like Zoe. I'm a fan of her too. Again, just work on the character. And she's person that could basically lead NXT as the women's champion.
Yeah, me and you were the same. I mean, when it comes to believable character and believability, character work, promos, like I need a reason to care with the wrestling after so long. I'm like, I saw Ricochet. I'm like, man, I love Ricochet. Ricochet's so good. And then I'm just waiting for that hump, just to get over that hump, whatever it is, to make me love him.
Yeah.
So I agree. Zoe's she's the one I've been rooting for. Besides that, the whole NXT UK thing we heard, but Gallus boys on top. Gallus comes out. He challenges the ridiculous UK champions that are UK champions right now from NXT, who shouldn't be UK champions because they were doing the whole selling thing. We're going to take you to the UK and we're going to promote you there so you get bigger and better. And Lash Legend was there. Noam Dar was hitting on her. So was Shy Samuels. And it was hilarious. And Lash Legend is snapping promo character, amazing. And then in comes these two guys, and they win like I think it was a triple threat in NXT UK, and they win the championship. So you got these countryside bumpkins who are tall as death, bigger than Gallus. They're tall. Yeah. I mean, I know what's his name's kind of small, but there's some big dudes. So they come out later on, and I'm like, yes, Gallus is here, and they're talking mess about the tag teams that are going on right now. They go into the back later on, quick promo. Oh, who's there? The people that are holding the NXT UK championships, the tag teams. And I'm like, it's leaving a bad taste in my mouth. Well, nope, addressed immediately. Gallus is like, we're going to go for those titles as well. And they're like, well, bring it. And they start throwing blows. And then it's like next week. So I'm like, yes. So they brought Gallus back. They already got the UK tag team championships already there, going for NXT Europe. They have the titles there except for Mako. So from there, I mean, Davenport shows up, which I loved her versus Mako. I was completely convinced Davenport's a badass. And I love her look. She's big. She's strong. Besides her, Tyler Bates shows up at the end, holds up his title. And I'm like, yeah, you beat my boy Jordan Devlin, but and then here comes Tyler. Music plays. And I'm like, okay, so they are salvaging something. This is before I knew about the Europe thing. I was like in awe because I get my titles back as a tag team, give it to Gallus because I fell in love with Wolfgang. I watched him watch one-on-one matches. And I was like, Gallus are good. But then they started doing a thing of them tearing apart. And then I'm going to go my own way. Coffee's like, I'll see you later. I don't want to work for a while. He's like, take as much time as you need, bro. And then Wolfie became amazing. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing Gallus there because they were just starting to pick up for me, like emotionally. I'm like, now I care about them. I want to see how they come together because they're doing such a good job apart. And they're like brothers and they're cool as hell. They're all the big dogs are now, but what I wanted to ask you, if you had any inside information, was if they're doing this whole Europe thing and they got basically, besides Mako, all the chances of some of their best wrestlers there, and they have their championships there, are they going to probably let them defend it for a while until NXT Europe starts? Even if they lose, it doesn't matter. The titles are there.
I've seen something where the UK titles will either be, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for?
Transition?
Not transition, but unified. Like, who's the NXT tag champs? I can't for the life of me think who it is. I know Jensen and Brooks are the UK tag champs.
But I don't know why I'm thinking it doesn't matter because it was Pretty Deadly, and then it was someone else just took it.
Yeah.
That's a bad sign when I don't remember it. That's a bad sign. They have been shining.
So whoever the tag champs are, I can see them unifying those tag titles. I can see them unifying the UK and the NXT title. Because there's rumor, I don't know where I saw it from, so don't take this as any kind of solidified factoid right here. But they're going to bring back the European Championship from back in the Attitude Era, and that's going to be part of the Europe thing, which is awesome. I'm all for that. I've been wanting the European title back. I don't know why. I guess it's just part of my childhood, and it was a big part, and they got rid of it for literally no reason at all. So bring it back is cool. But I'm not really 100% sure what they're doing the title situation, but I would definitely see them introducing new titles for NXT Europe, which means they would have to just unify other titles or just retire them. I'm not sure how the UK and the NXT one would unify, since how they're not really, I don't want to say on the same level, but they're not really the same title. So I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
And women's champion, isn't that
Mako Satomura?
Yeah, I thought okay. So I can see them unifying those. Unfortunately, I don't see Mako beating Mandy Rose. So I feel like Mandy, but then again, maybe they will because I think Toxic Attraction needs to be called up here soon. So maybe Mako's the one that dethrones Mandy.
They did the SmackDown thing. They're on SmackDown. Yeah.
So and Bailey was like kind of involved. So that's a 3-on-3 thing right there that I can sink my teeth in. I think that'd be real fun. So that's all I know. But again, it's not even like fact. It's just kind of like I've browsed and seen some things. I'm totally clueless because I don't really follow NXT UK that much. I watch Andy's recap every once in a while. I read up on certain things, and my buddy in the group chat, he's huge into NXT UK. So I've known about the Tyler Bate thing for a while, how he was the champ and how they did the tournament because he went to the taping of it and he was just telling us all about it. But I'm interested. I think the world's because I know the dudes are talented. Tyler Bate especially. I've seen Tyler Bate. I know the dude can go. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Maybe he's a guy that can take it off Braun Breaker. I don't know because I was high on Braun Breaker first. From what I've seen the few times I've tuned in, I don't think I'm that high on him anymore. I think he has a lot of work. He has the look, he has the intensity, but it's like, can he really go with some like the match with JD McConnell? I don't even know how to say it. It's a stupid name. Jordan Devlin. That's what I'm going to call him because that's his name. Yeah. I wasn't impressed with Braun. I just wasn't, and I don't think that's a good sign for Braun. Short term, long term he'll be fine, but short term, I don't know. And Tyler Bate, again, fantastic. He's amazing. I've never met someone who didn't like Tyler Bate. So he's a guy I can see taking the title off of him and maybe just, again, unifying the NXT and UK title. But we'll see. It's interesting time with NXT.
I'm going to plug in my phone with my camera real quick because I'm getting drained.
Take care.
The drain is real. All right, better.
All right. So from that, I think we covered all our favorite moments from this past week's wrestling. So now we're going to get into, I don't even know what I'm going to call this segment yet. So we're just going to go into it. Effy. You're not familiar with Effy at all. So with that said, I can safely say you've never watched a GCW show. They are wild. I will say that. Death matches. If it's not, I get why people don't like it. I'm not really a fan of death matches either, but I not saying we share that love too. We both love Sam Roberts. He's awesome. I love Sam Roberts. My first introduction to Effy was on Sam Roberts. He did an interview with him. If you don't remember the show, I'm gonna send it to you so you can check it out because Effy is a very interesting character. Not even just a character; he's a very interesting person. The character is even more interesting. And just to paraphrase it and make it as simple as possible for you to understand, this is one of his little sayings that the fans will chant at his shows. Effy is gay. And it's
what?
Yes. But it's supposed to be a positive, like uplifting thing to really embrace the community. Okay. It's very cool how he presents it. To an extent. There's other people who will come in and combat me on this and be like, it's horrible, it's atrocious, but whatever. My girlfriend loves him. She heard the interview. She goes, this guy sounds awesome. We met him during SummerSlam weekend, went to StarCast. I paid so she could do the meet and greet with him and everything. He is a wonderful human being. He was so gracious, so just, I can't praise him enough as far as the meeting we had with him. He was an extremely nice person. So now that's out of the way. He comes to just to give you more, he comes to the ring. He's wearing like a leather pink jacket with spikes all over it. He wears fishnet stockings.
Oh God,
he's in I think he's tag team champions with what's her name? Allie Catch. So it's a man-woman intergender team. I think they're called Bussy. So they're very loved in GCW. He's facing Jon Moxley. So I'm intrigued right there alone. Because in GCW, Jon Moxley's world champion. So he's world champion in 2 promotions.
What is going on? What happened to the world of wrestling?
It's everywhere. I love it. So this is why Jon Moxley is wrestler of the year to me because he goes everywhere and wrestles. So go ahead.
AEW Forbidden Door question. What was that just the way of them saying? I didn't know what was going on, but was that just the way of saying that like we're gonna fight other promotions if they let us?
Well, when you work for AEW, you're allowed to go and wrestle other places. That's how wrestling used to be with
brilliant territories.
Yes, territories. So AEW does that. I think that is very cool. It allows the lower talent to get work elsewhere and make more money. I think it's wonderful. Jon Moxley doesn't need it, but he does it. These GCW shows are very small arenas, like 500 people maybe. They're not big at all. Maybe that number is low. I don't know. Don't crucify me, GCW fans. I'm sorry. I'm learning. But yeah, he's the champ over there, and he's facing Effy. My girlfriend's like, I'm watching that show. It's her first Effy match. It's my first GCW show that I'm watching like full through. The match starts. Effy comes out. He is so over with the GCW crowd. They're cheering for him over Jon Moxley. Just to paint that picture for you. That's how over he is. Match starts. I'm gonna break this match down for you. You can chime in when you feel need to, but I want your overall opinion at the end of the match. Okay. So the match starts, and Effy immediately just drops down to his knees and stares into Jon Moxley's region that's right in front of him. It's a mind game thing. And then that was my reaction as well. I was like, this man is trying to really screw with Jon Moxley's mind. And he just sits there for the longest time, just like, are you kidding me? And then Effy is doing just facials and everything to really
oh my God,
get into Moxley's head. So the match starts. I've always been under the impression that Effy wasn't a great wrestler based on what I've heard from him on the internet. I should have known better not to listen to the internet because I don't think he was that terrible. I think he was a serviceable guy. His character work is what gets him over. This match made me a fan of him, but that's towards the end. So at one point in this match, you know how they do the forearms or the punches where someone will forearm someone and then that person, and then they'll wait and another person will forearm him, or the chops. You chop me, I chop you, and then whoever has the best chop, whoever has the best forearm wins that, and then the match continues. We don't get a chop, we don't get a forearm, we don't get a punch. Effy comes in and kisses Jon Moxley on the cheek. Moxley looks around, and then he does the same to them, and then they get into a kiss off with each other. And the crowd is going crazy.
Oh my God.
So the match started with Effy playing the mind games and pissing Moxley off. Moxley was so mad at the dropping to his knees that he wasn't hitting his offense. He was so flustered that Effy was able to maneuver out of the way and take advantage of it. That's the mind game that was working. At this point, he does the kiss on the cheek to really try and keep it up. But at this point, Mox is like, you know what? I can do that too. And he starts playing into it. So you went from an angry Moxley to okay, I can play your game, Moxley. Okay. So the psychology is amazing to me. I'm getting crucified by people. I don't care. I really enjoy that. Yes. So from there, they wrestle some more. Moxley, he starts ripping his fishnets off. He goes, get this crap off. Blah, blah, blah. The fans start booing Moxley because they want Effy to win. At this point, I'm wanting Effy to win. And then at one point, Jon Moxley puts him in a chokehold. Moxley likes to choke some people out in AEW. That's one of his finishers. It's called a bulldog, where he wraps their neck and he kind of wrenches on their back. It looks brutal. This wasn't the move. He just had him kind of a chokehold and standing in the middle of the ring. And this is where people kind of start to sour. No, I won't say that. They were sour on the whole thing. Not the fans either. They loved it. But the people online, this is where they really lost their mind. So he's choking Effy. And Effy is like kind of groggy. And then he reaches into his wrestling gear.
Okay.
And he's holding himself. And it's like, and he starts to get that look in his face like, hey.
Oh my God.
And as I looked over my girlfriend, he's basically saying, choke me, daddy. He's enjoying this.
Oh my.
And then Moxley has to let go of the hold, obviously, because so the match continues. Effy brings a door in. I guess this is something he does a lot. Then the door, it says, I think it said Effy. I can't remember what it said, but it's a pink door. They use doors in GCW a lot to throw people through. wild.
Got it.
Light tubes too. That's another thing they like to use. But Moxley throws Effy through the table. The match continues. They brawl. But then John Moxley, at this point, he went from angry about it to, okay, I can play this game with you. And then the end of the match comes when he's exhausted all other efforts. And he says, you know what? I can do this better than you. And he grabs Effy and he gives him a big old kiss on the lips, to the point where Effy's like, he lets go. Effy's like, yo, or is this a thing? And then Moxley hits him with his finishing move, pins him 1, 2, 3. And that's the match. So I broke this down for you. The psychology and the storyline that is involved in this match, again, is great to me. I think it's wonderful.
Oh, man.
From an outsider's perspective, is this something that you think is bad for wrestling? Do you think it's, I don't want to say good for wrestling, but do you have an issue with this?
No.
And
I find it hilarious.
Yes, it's hilarious.
But you said the psychology behind it, like, I'm going to up you instead of like forearms and chops. He's like, okay, and he goes in so that, like, if we understand that, the crowd can see what they're doing instead of blow by blow. It's that instead. Yeah, cool. I get that. So that's all I needed to hear to see where that was going. That's awesome.
They really crucified this match, and I was like, man, I get you don't like it, but what is so, to me, it's Gold Dust back in the day, dialed up to like 100.
Yeah, I knew Gold Dust. I knew him.
That's all it seems like it was to me. I enjoyed it. But say you were watching this show and you saw that match, would that turn you off from watching another Effy or a GCW show?
Oh, no.
Or was that something that was like, I like this. This is actually entertaining. This is different. And I get what they're doing.
It like you said, it applied to like, the wrestling psychology and the storytelling, whatever. It applies to that, the way they did it.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different take. Like you said, a Gold Dust turned up. Because Gold Dust would have did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then back in the 2000s, no one would have batted an eye, right? Because we loved Gold Dust.
Yeah.
Because he was such a great character. I have I have like 5 good friends. 4 of them are LGBTQ. Yeah. I watch RuPaul's Drag Race. None of that stuff hurts me or my masculinity or any of that stuff. So I find it, when you were saying it, I couldn't help but laugh. I busted out laughing twice, pretty hard, and I had to stop myself the second time. So that is something that by the way, there was a guy on NXT now 2.0, even though I'm saying it's gonna be black and silver for now.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Super he came diva up, and I liked his promo. And he wasn't apologetic about who he was, and he's getting some airtime. So that, just getting the chance to get the airtime gives you a +1 point. Let's see what you do with it. And he came off as sincere. And I was like, what's about time? Because I felt the same way about Velveteen Dream. Oh
man,
I know we don't want to talk about that in the sense.
No, I love Velveteen Dream, and I hate what happened to him.
He had some charisma about him, and I was trying to show my gay friends. I was like, hey, come watch this, and I made them watch it. They weren't watching wrestling, but I was gonna make them watch Velveteen Dream. And we're like, man, I think he's gay, or he's this or that. And I'm trying to get my friend Bauman's reaction, who's gay, to it. And I'm like, now will you watch wrestling? He's like, no, but the guy's got character and he's got moves. I think he's smooth, But yeah, I don't have any problem with Effy. With him doing that, and if I laughed twice from just you telling me about it, then that was probably great gold that went on. And it was wrestling maneuverabilities in that at the same time. Well, then kudos.
It's no technical masterpiece. I'm not going to try and paint that picture. It was I think it's a serviceable match. Well, Velveteen Dream was never someone that was like great in the ring. He was just serviceable. But man, he sucked you in with the character work and everything else that you're like, okay. And he's incorporating it into his matches. Like, okay, I'm really buying into this. And I think that's what Effy does wonderfully. He'll never be on like a big show or anything like that. He's very comfortable with what he does. But awesome human being, though. Also, again, and I don't know him personally, but I have met him, and he treated us with nothing but respect, gracious as could be, polite, everything about him. I can't say enough good things about him, and I hate the shit he's been getting for it. Because even afterwards, because they were giving him crap about all the spots, and he goes, "Man, y'all would really go crazy if you found out who came up with those spots." Lead me to believe that it was Moxley that came up with some of this stuff, which makes me appreciate Moxley so much more. He earns so much more respect from me for that. And I'm not a fan. Don't hate the guy. Just don't really care too much. But this match made me like, you know what? I kind of dig Moxley and obviously Effy. I'm watching another GCW show just because of this match. But I wanted your take on it. It was such a controversial thing that was happening. And I'm like, man, I need to get an outsider's viewpoint on this.
I don't know if someone was offended in a sense, or just like this is garbage wrestling, or
you have people who are just not they're not fans. They take it, I guess, to an extreme. I don't think it's anything to do with hatred. It's just uncomfortability and an idea of what wrestling is. And as I pointed out in my Moxley is Wrestler of the Year piece that I wrote, wrestling doesn't have many boundaries. Wrestling can be this, it can be that, it can be this. But at the end of the day, if I'm entertained, I can't sit there and say it's bad. I can't.
It puts over Effy. It makes Mox look good. And Mox is gracious coming down to his homeland.
Yep.
Just like the old territories and Ric Flair would go to other places. I watched all that territory stuff too. The crowds were for the hero that he was going to. He was the heel, and he was going to put their hero over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Moxley just did, especially when you told me they can go to other territories, basically. Yeah. That's very gracious of him to do that. And if these were a lot of his ideas, if the AEW hero doesn't have a problem with it, maybe we can all just
I don't think I saw many AEW people hating on him. I don't think I did.
Okay, good.
A lot of those guys, they go other places. They're champions in other places. Like the dude Daniel Garcia, I think he's a champion somewhere. Swerve Scott, he's the tag champ in AEW, but he's also a tag team champ somewhere else with another tag team partner. They let these guys go out, and I think that's awesome. Again, it helps them put food on their table, and I can't hate on that. So, but yeah, so that's the show. Good stuff. I liked everything we talked about. Again, the 2.0, I'm starting to kind of come back around to it. So that's good for me because I do miss the black and gold. I do miss NXT. It'll never be the same, but if they can get back to giving me good, consistent programming that's not overly sexualized, I'm all for it, and I'll tune back in, and hopefully they can get there sooner rather than later. The UK stuff I think should help because those guys actually can put on barn burner matches. And I think that's the biggest thing 2.0 has been missing is you don't have the skill to do those kind of matches yet.
Back in the DZ, NXT UK didn't stop doing what NXT Black and Gold was doing with those 15, 20-minute matches, even 25 sometimes. UK, and then they're performing at a high level, and that's what I loved about them. It's what drew me in. But I liked everything we talked about. Sheamus, I'm getting what I want. This is the year of Tidey. Shayna Baszler, I'm going to break your arm later, then pump kicks her in the face.
That was beautiful. The kick was beautiful.
The slow build was just Ronda telling her used to be a monster, but she still came out like, I'm a monster, I'm a killer, even in last week. And then she did, the killer thing again. But I'm getting what I want. People that I felt that I had a strong heart for were...
They're being utilized in a way that gives you hope.
And it's main event status hope. Yeah. It's like Shayna is now going to get what I've been wanting her to get. Sheamus is going to get what he wants. KO, and you got Sammy. 4 of like my heroes that I had to drift to some other talent because the hope of the mid-card scene was so low that it just kind of hurts sometimes. So I don't know. It was a subconscious thing. They're in my back. But
it was wild to watch.
Wrestling is back, man. My guys are going to win. And that's all I need.
It was wild to watch Shayna go from not main eventing, but a WrestleMania program with Becky Lynch to what she was doing. It was just wild. She had a great attitude about it. She took it as a learning experience. All the credit in the world to her. I love Shayna for what she did about it. But now she's back to being a badass, how she should be presented, and I'm excited for it. It's going to be awesome. Again, this past week of wrestling was probably the overall best week of wrestling I've watched in forever. All 4 shows that I watched, I thought were just great.
Let me give you props for the Sammy article at the end there.
Thank you.
Because I've been trying to explain to my roommate, the person I geek out in real life, of like she likes Sammy too. And I was like, dude, what he's been doing lately, how he has like the suck up to the Usos. Like, I'm an honorary Us. And she's giggling because she knows his facial and what he could do. And I'm like, in this awkward times, he's just talking to them, and it's kind of awkward, but it's not awkward because it's Sammy and it's natural and it's his own way. Like, you have no idea. He is soaking up that sunlight like a cat.
Right?
It's so good. But now everything has come to the ultimate fruition. Sammy is in main event status.
Yeah.
He's always going to be on that camera as the main Us. It solidified. Babyface roar, that made my week. And then I read your article and you worded it so perfectly of what it all kind of means. And that's why, I love watching you from even back in the day.
3 segments he was on SmackDown. That's huge. That's huge for him.
Yeah, you said like in 2 hours he went from this to this to this. Like, and he nailed it. You could do that. So yeah, that made my week.
All right. So with that, I thank everybody for joining us. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had an awesome time. That's what we're trying to do. Positively awesome. Send out the positive vibes. Give you an awesome time because that's what we want. Awesome wrestling, awesome times. So with that, I will say goodbye. I'm going to do the boom. And with that, we will say peace.